Hi everyone, my name is Catherine. I am a new graduate nurse. I just graduated in May, and in this video I want to share with you guys how I was able to get a nursing position before I even sat down to take the NCLEX, because I know that a lot of new grad nurses or students who are about to finish nursing school, we're nervous about like the NCLEX and like worrying about like where to find a job and how to secure a job. And I want to share with you guys how I have set myself basically for success in being able to like secure a job before even graduating nursing school. You don't have to know exactly what kind of nurse you want to be, because you can be figuring that out while you're in school, and also like even after you finish school and start working in an area that you thought you might be interested in but end up not liking it. So I didn't really focus too much about what kind of nurse I want to be, but when I was doing my clinicals in nursing school, I basically was trying to get into hospitals that were around where I lived, and also hospitals where I felt like I would work at after graduation, because I want to see if the work environment was for me or not when I get there. So my first tip is definitely try to get into a hospital where you feel like you might end up working, because you want to be in that be on the floor, be in the hospital, and see if that is the work culture or work environment that you would like. The second tip is to ask around in your clinicals, and also to pay attention how the nurses work and interact with each other. Are they helpful, or do they like students? Are they a teaching hospital? Are they welcoming of students? How do they interact with each other? Especially for like new grad nurses, ask them about nurse residency programs. Do they have that at their hospital? Most importantly, does the values of the hospital, do they align with yours, and as well as do you see yourself working there? Because if you don't see yourself working there, then you're probably not going to be happy working there after graduation. Well, ultimately, like, yes, you are at your clinicals to gain experience and to learn, but also keep in the back of your mind, or if there's downtime, speak with the nurses and see what that hospital has to offer you, because at the end of the day, you want to make yourself different and set yourself apart from other new grad nurses, but you also want to kind of like interview them during your interviews, because you want to see if that hospital is going to be a best match for you. A third tip I have is to research the pay, and also decide if you want to work at a hospital, if they're union or non-union, because that makes a huge difference in how the nurses are being treated at that hospital. Also, depending on whether you're working in the city or suburb, the pay is typically different, because in the city, you might get a few dollars more than the hospitals in the city. And then also, I know a lot of new grad nurses start off on night shift, and when I was a nursing student, a lot of nurses have told me that it is kind of required for new grad nurses to start a night shift, but I feel like that's such a myth, because I was able to land a daytime position. I also know that I started off with two other nurses, and they were also on day shift with me, so definitely don't believe everything that you hear, and everybody's situation is also unique. The final and most important tip I have for you guys that landed me a position is to ask to speak with the manager. I know when I was a nursing student, my clinical instructors have mentioned that, you want to do a good job, because if you do really well and like the nurses see that, or the charge nurse see that you might land a position at that hospital, they might recommend you to the manager, or the manager might come and speak with you. But if they don't, be that person to ask when the manager is available to talk, because if you want something, you have to ask for it. And before you ask your manager, the day before or like a few days before, kind of like having your mindset of like what questions you want to ask the manager, what attributes can you offer them, and things like that, so you come in prepared. So for me personally, I was able to land a position at a clinical site that I did clinicals at when I was a nursing student. I spoke with the manager and I basically had like an interview, like a very informal interview, and then I kind of threw it in there and said that like, oh, I'm graduating at this time and I would love it if a position does come up, like if I would be able to work there or not. And the manager definitely kind of like said that like, oh, if the opportunity arises, then like I could reach back out and see where things are at. And that's kind of what happened. And it just so happens that some of the nurses on their day shift are either retiring or leaving, so it kind of really worked out in my favor. I feel like there's so many nursing students that come in and out of the hospital sometimes, that if you take the time to speak with the manager, they will at least remember your face or your name. And I remember when it was time, when it was near graduation, I reached back out and I basically said, oh, I'm graduating at this time, and if there's a position opening, if there is an open position, I would like to work. And I also attached my resume to the email to the manager. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I feel like me myself as a nursing student, and I feel like others might be really stressed about the whole process of like studying for the NCLEX and then on top of that figuring out where you're gonna work. I just want to share a snippet of how you can basically prepare yourself for success while you're in nursing school, so that in the long run you don't have to be as stressed with the whole job application process. When I was a nursing student, people have said like there's a nursing shortage, but at the same time like nobody was also hiring. It's really hard to get a job. And with a lot of the hospitals that I felt like I wanted to join, it was through like word of mouth, or like people were getting hired because a nurse that has already worked there recommended one of like their friends, or somebody else. So it was really difficult to even get my foot in the door. I also feel like it's really easy to get burnt out, especially transitioning from nursing school to being a new grad and getting accommodated to the work environment and being a nurse by yourself. And it can be really stressful, but having a good support system at a hospital that really supports you really makes you feel like comfortable and makes you feel like you can always go to somebody for support or help. And especially being in a work environment where you don't really feel judged for asking questions, and they kind of encourage you to ask questions because at the end of the day, like the patient's life is on the line.